So first, we're gonna understand the build-up scenario. As you see, we have header at the top, then we have our banner, and after that, the category criteria, then having the products. Now, all of these, as you see, the products and the categories, brands, and the blog, all are funneling through our backend structure. So those data is not static; it would be dynamically fetched here, and we're gonna upload it all together, and we're having the footer. So in the cache here, as you see, first we're going to start that header and also as well as the dynamic structure. As you see how it's combining for the responsiveness, so all together we're going to just combine it to make it a powerful build up so that it can be look much more similar and also be a combinedly compact with all of the scenario. To start that, we are having here just initialize our application all together. So first of all, what I'm gonna do here, let's just, because we are having our Shadcn is installed and everything properly done. So first of all, in the root, I'm gonna create a component. So it should be a components. Oh, we are having that because remember, when we create the Shadcn UI, you see we install all of that, so we are having a components UI here. So here I'm gonna just name it as a header.tsx. you can name it navvar also, it will be fine. So rfce, we're gonna create our first or foremost header. Instead of the div, I'm gonna make it as a header for SEO friendly design, and we will try to explore a much more bit about how we can combine it for SEO scenario and how we can just go and naturally do all of those things. So as you see, sometimes it's just having an issue. So what I'm gonna do, if you're still having that issue, it can happen, depend on that your hardware's category. Sometimes the TypeScript is taking much more for loading. Just reload the app, it will be fine. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my layout first, and as you see, we want header to be injected everywhere, right? All of the pages, and of course it will not be showcasing in the admin, but we're gonna focus it later. But first of all, I want the header to be seen all of the page and all of the scenario. I'm gonna import it here and save it. So we should be seeing one header at the top, and also I want another components which going to be my footer.tsx rfce. So there we're gonna pass that footer. So let's just combine that footer here. Footer. So we have our header, we have our footer, then we have our home scenario. Okay, so let's go in the page, and as you see, this is the home criteria where we are pretty much defined everything. I'm gonna remove that padding. Okay, so it will be all together similar of this pattern. So what I'm gonna do, first of all, what I really love to make is a container where we are passing that max within height properties. We are passing all of the design criteria we want. So container, okay, container.tsx rfce. So that container going to be responsible to inject our like a normal scenario the way we are going to inject here. So what kind of things we're gonna define here? First of all, everything we want to inject here as a children, so it's gonna render within that parameter. And of course we need to define the type as you're using the TypeScript. So the children should be defined as a children, and that should be a type of React Node by so far, and that's it. And one more parameter we want to explore also, to get the class name. So like if we are passing any of the class name parameter, it should inject here and do its job properly. So we're gonna pass that also, class name, but not always we're gonna pass the class name. So you're gonna just pass a condition. If we are having the class name, only then it will pass as a string value. Okay, so now we're gonna pass the define parameter here. So first of all, let's go the class name, and instead of that, I'm gonna use that curly braces because we are going to use that cn. Remember, that's actually injected here, created by ShadcnUI, but this is a very powerful. And as you see, if you are using the older CSS, or if you are having the bootstrap development page, then you know that important flag, right? If you want to emphasize any of the class name, we are using that parameter so that the one which we are putting that at important, that would show first, then the other. So this is the similar setup it's gonna do. So within the CN, there should be a two criteria. First of all, our default criteria, the one which we want to make it by default, like say max width, we want that screen axle. should be screen axle, and mx auto to keep it in the middle, and then let's say px should be 4, so padding horizontally it would be 4. Now this is the default parameter. Okay, this is okay. If we don't pass any of the class name, that would be shown by default. But what if we want to pass any class name? Then coming this one, our second condition. The second condition, it will be a very first and foremost, it's gonna check the variance, and as you see, it gonna combine, it gonna that the merge conflict, it will resolve, and it showcase the proper class name. So you're gonna try one. So here let's say in the header, so after that header, I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna pass that a container here, because everything we want to pass within our container. Okay, so as you see the header, this is the class name which we want, right? So now I want to make that the class name, let's say now this one here, we're gonna make the class name like the, let's say class name, we want, let's say VG red, just to showcase. So we are getting a red background, but remember, we doesn't pass any background at the primary level, right? So what if we are circulating that max width? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it the full width. Okay, and as you see what we are passing here, okay, is it getting the full width? No. Okay, I think maybe we're gonna pass the width auto. It will not capture the width because we are not predefinedly passing the width, because we have a max width criteria, so we need to combine that max width as full. So it's gonna take entire max width. You see, it's just passing that whatever we are forecasting here, that is the prime circulation. It will be first, then the other parameter gonna hold. So this is as simple as possible. As you are trying much more, you're gonna understand it pretty much in better way. So what I'm gonna do, so this is the criteria here, and I'm gonna go in the page. Instead of that, I'm gonna just wrap everything as within a container parameter. So should be container. And of course, need to import it from the container. As you see at import, if you're not importing properly, maybe in your application it will not work in a good and substantial way. So now we are having our header, we are having our footer, and also in the footer I'm going to wrap that. So that should be a footer tag, and I'm going to cut that footer, and I'm going to pass that within a container. So that is looking pretty much clean built. So now we are going to start building first our this parameter gonna be done. So let's go back there, and I'm gonna go in the header, and I'm gonna close all others. So first of all, what kind of things it should be in our header? We have one logo, we have one navbar, we have our other icon parameter. So if I just combine and if we just separate it, first we're gonna have our logo, right? Then we have our nav button. Then we have our another nav button, we can say. This is similar nav button, so we can say nav let's say nav admin. So that can hold the admin portion. You can see the search, or you can just make that nav address, is up to you. So what I'm gonna do, first of all, we need to create the logo. So here instead so we need to have the Shopcart logo and other criteria. So first of all, in the header, I'm going to put some differentiate. So let's say background color, I'm going to make it white. And also, let's say I'm going to make it like padding Y should be 5. And we're gonna having lots of other things. As you see, once we are scrolling, you see that effect is happening here, like the backdrop blur MD. So that should be also like initialized, but not now. We're gonna do it later. So in the container here, first I'm gonna create a logo, but in the logo you can generate either a PNG or something, but for me here, I'm going to just create a simple file and then attach it here, so that we can just pass that parameter. So should be logo, import from the logo. And now this logo going to be combined in a different way, because so that we can really make the things go some and a very good possible. So first of all, this logo instead of that, I'm gonna pass that a link parameter. Okay, pass that a link which need to coming up from next link. Okay, this is okay, next link. And after that, we're gonna pass an href, because from anywhere we click on that link or that logo, we are going to come back at the home. Then we're gonna take an h2 tag where we're gonna pass that, let's say, Shopcart, and after that we're gonna take an span tag where I'm gonna pass the t. Done. So we are going to have a Shopcart, and this gap, I don't want that, so it should be similar like that. For the class name, remember now we will not inject any of the class name in a predefined way. We're gonna go in with the cn parameter, because so that we have both criteria and like both class name scenario in top of build each other. So first of all, if we are having a class name, now we didn't try it yet, so I'm gonna just try that. If we're having the class name, then we're gonna pass that class name, which is going to be, let's say, string. So class name. Now here what we're gonna do, first of all, text should be 2XL and text should be, let's say, Shopcart dark green, that's I want, and then a font should be black, so it will be like pretty much bold altogether. And after that, I'm gonna make a tracking of wider, so it will be wide tracking, and also I'm gonna make all the scenario as uppercase. And whenever I'm gonna hover, text should be shop light green. We are having that light green? No, not so far. So we need to like enable the light green parameter. So what I'm gonna do, let's just go in our globals.css. We doesn't have that light green, so I'm gonna add one. So the color should be shop light green, and there we're gonna pass our color scenario, which is going to be hash, and then 3v9c 3c. I think that would be perfect. 9c 3c. Yeah, that should be. So that's the color we can use. So I'm gonna, whenever we hover, text should be this color. So if I hover, as you see, I think this color, okay. Anything is happening? Yeah, it's happening, but not so good. I think we need to work on that, our color criteria. Okay. Hover text shop light green. This is not getting actually. So if I go over here, hover text shop, no, it's not combining all together, and it's not getting. Remember that one, we cannot directly use that because now we are not using Tailwind config, we are using directly our embedded CSS, so you cannot use that as you like. So if I hover now, okay, cool, it's working perfectly. So this is the simple strategy which we can combine all together. And then let's just make some other parameter also. I'm gonna pass that hover effect, so that the hover it will be go, and I'm gonna make it as a group, and I'm gonna use a font of sans, so it will combine that a bit a bold module. Okay, now here I'm gonna make it define it a bit in a good way. So text should be shop light green, and whenever I'm gonna make that, like say in the group, I'm gonna make it a hover here, then I'm gonna make that one text should be shop dark green. Okay, and then I'm gonna pass that hover effect. So we are having a hover effect combination. Did we have that? Okay, no, I think no, we didn't have yet. So we can just pass that hover effect. Should be hover effect, and that should be, let's say, add apply, and then a transition transform. Transition not transform, I'm gonna make the transition all, and I'm gonna pass the duration of 300, easy in out. Okay, see, that's the one which you're looking for. That's the similar of that. Cool, so we are having it. Now after that, as we are passing our logo, so now we need to create our navigation bar and other parameter. This is also, we're gonna do it gradually one by one, and to do that, and there will be another logo here. As you see, once we are going back through in that criteria, you see that logo is coming like beside the logo, right? We're gonna do it first. We're gonna just combine this parameter here. So here I'm gonna just create another components here, which are going to be, let's say, header menu.tsx or fce. And now as you see this header, I'm gonna try my best to keep the header as a server side, so it will not drop out in the view. So whenever my page is loading, header will be at the top as always. If I reload, you can see the product is curving, but my header is coming in a static way. It's always there. So we're trying to grab that in a very strategic way, and for that, whatever the client interactivity, like once I click in the search, you see this is the client side. I'm typing is a client side. Whenever I'm gonna go in a login parameter, is a client side. So all client-side interactivity. I'm gonna try my best, because as you see also here, I'm gonna show the number for the card, for the favorite, because those number gonna coming up from my state, which is a client-side components or the client-side library. We're gonna use the Zustand. So that could be in a different way. So we are going to, as much as possible, we are gonna push that client-side in that parameter. So first of all, let's see, we're gonna just combine our header menu. Okay, so it will be an header menu. Then after that, we're gonna have another div here directly, so I'm gonna keep that div, and let's say others. Done. So now we are having a 3 parameter, but it's not so good to see how it's combined all together. So I'm gonna make that class name, and first of all it should be flex, and then item center, and then justify should be between. So altogether it's gonna see in a perfect way, as you see the measure. But first of all, I'm gonna go at the top, and here there actually no border here. Is because of this one is actually serving the purpose, but for right now I'm gonna keep a border. So let's say border B, and I'm gonna pass that border B, let's say black. Okay, just for this parameter. Later on we're gonna withdraw it, so you're gonna have an idea how those things is functioning. And also I'm gonna go with an opacity of 50, so that it will not make any problem in my eyes. Okay, 50 is still having too much. 20, okay, that looks good. So now we need to define that our logo, our header menu. For first to go in our header menu, we're gonna see how we're gonna gradually pass that. In the header menu we have this iconic parameter here, so let's see and pass that. And to implement that, what we can do here, and there is another parameter in any of the, like if I in the shop, my shop is highlighted, and you can see that curve writing is here. And if I go home, if I go in blog, any route, you see it is highlighted or selected. So that's, we need to use that use client flag using the path name. So to do that, first of all we're gonna pass that the scenario how we can implement that. So this is our header menu, and we're gonna pass that a header data, which should be a static data. So what I'm gonna do at the top layer of my project, I'm gonna use another let's say we're gonna use that constants to pass there. And here I'm gonna take another file which is gonna be data.ts. There we're gonna pass any of the static data we are passing. Here we need to combine some of the data by which we can pass that at the home. So the data, it will be that header data, which is the title as home, and the / is going to be take us to the home parameter, shop /shop, blog /blog, contact hot deal. So this is the page scenario it gonna create by so far. So now what we're gonna do, we need to implement that one in a very good fashion. So I'm gonna pass that header data dot map. We're gonna map that, and everything I'm gonna combine it within a parameter of, we can say that as item, or you can just destructurize and take the title and href by so far. Then I'm gonna pass the link from the next link, and then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna pass our item.title, and as I map through, I need to pass a key which should be item.title, which is different than each and every title. And then also I'm gonna pass that href. The href should be item.href. If I save, we should be able to see the data is funneling right here. So now we need to combine it all together. I'm gonna make it bit smaller so it can fit it here, and you can see it side by side. I'm gonna make it a little bit more here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna provide some of the class name to make it look nicer. First of all, by default it should be hidden, right? And as you know, if you're using the Tailwind CSS, it's first is the mobile utility first. So whatever the design pattern you are writing here, first it will be applicable for mobile, then it will go lower by lower uppercase. Like if you didn't explain any of the like device structure like MD or LG or Excel, it will just check, like if I make it hidden, it will work for all the device flow, right? It will always be hidden. But if I write no, not for all, MD, so if MD I want that inline flex, then it's gonna showcase inline flex in the MD device, and you know the MD means is that 48 frame or 768 pixels. So that's the medium device parameter is coming up. So that's how you can circulate that. And I'm going to make a weight of 1/3 to just calculate that scenario. So which, as you see, this is all center aligned. So don't mind that hot deal. It's just we can remove it, or you can just concate it. You see, this is just a crumble here. So now this is how you can just make the contradict explanation. And I see, because the contract, I'm gonna just comment that contact, so it will not be bypassed, because I think we have a contact here. Yeah, as you see, we are having here in the bottom menu, so no need to pass it here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, and as you see, it's very simple. If I don't want a menu, I'm gonna just pass it here. No need to explain it here. Like if I just map through and pass the data here, it's difficult to like it will hurt the design if I want to make any combination here. Then let's say I'm gonna make place item should be center, and then I'm gonna pass a gap of 7, and also I'm gonna make the text should be SM capitalized, so first letter should be the bigger, font should be semi bold, and then text should be light color. Hit save. So you can see side by side the same thing, the same scenario, and I think I can say don't mind that, we're fixing it here. So now we are having those scenario, and by so far we're good. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass some class name here, and this class name which we're gonna combine here, I think, yeah, we can directly pass it here, but we will gonna have some styling criteria. So I'm gonna use that backtick here, and whenever I'm gonna make that, whenever we're gonna hover, text should be, let's say, shop light green, so that's the color it will be. And then I'm gonna pass that hover effect to take the effect by so far, and I'm gonna make it as a relative because we're gonna have some absolute scenario. And then I'm also gonna make it as a group. If I hover, as you see, that is green, and if I hover, I think why it's not if I see the inspect in the font details, it's a pop-in sans serif. If I check it here, what's the fonts? Fonts is the pop-ins fall back. So the pop-ins is actually working, and here I think, let's say I'm gonna make that font should be normal. Okay, color font should be normal. Is it taking the bite? Okay, we are making semi-bold here. I'm gonna make it a normal font criteria here. No. Okay, it will be fixed. No worries. I think it's a similar pattern here. So this is the one, and once I hover on that, I want something to appear, and see that the design is coming from the middle. You see, it's middle and its spreading is two side by side. So that's how we need to combine that through. And to implement that one, we should be having two separate span, right? And both are independent span, self-closing span here. And we're gonna pass some of the class name, and that class name also going to be within a backtick parameter. And first of all, I'm gonna make it an absolute, and as you see, we are making that one as relative here. So this will be within that parameter, it will not go out of that. And let's say minus bottom should be 0.5, and right should be, let's say, 1/2. And also weight, I'm gonna pass that weight, let's say first, let's say the full weight. Okay, then we're gonna combine it how it gonna be popping up. Then height should be 0.5, and also BJ should be shop light green, so it will match with the text. And I'm gonna make it not right now, transition we can make it later, as you see that one. But as you see the weight, I don't want to provide the full weight, so I'm gonna provide and cramp it like it will be half of that weight. So if I go and define 1/2, so that would be my weight ratio. So this is the half weight here, and I'm gonna copy this portion and I'm gonna paste it here. And instead of that right, I'm gonna make that one as, let's say, first one I'm gonna make it left, then this next one it should be right. So it's picturing all together left right combination, those are getting in the line. So first of all, that width which we are defining here, first it would be 0. Okay, so both side it would be 0, so no more weight and no more flavor on that. And where are we gonna get the weight? Remember, we make it as a group, right? So whenever we're gonna make it in a group on hover, I want to make that weight 1/2, and I'm gonna pass that hover effect. That's it. And also I'm gonna make that, whenever I'm gonna make it a group hover, I'm gonna make that one as a left should be 0, so it will always, like, it will stay in the left side. If I click, you see, okay, one parameter is done. So I'm gonna just copy this entire scenario, hover effect. No, okay, I'm gonna just, why this really annoying. Okay, I'm gonna go with here and I'm gonna pass it here instead of that left. I'm gonna make that one as a right side. That's it. Hover, you see how it's strategically coming. So now there is another parameter which we need to define as using the path name. So we need to check which path name we are right now. Are we are in the home, or we are in the product, or we are in the deal? So we need to like memorize whatever the screen we are on. So we can define it. There is a name of that, which is the path name parameter, and that should be use path name. You need to combine import add from next navigation, and if we make the log here, we can just grab the path name, and when we save it here, as you see, the error is coming here. You are importing a component that needs a use path name. This React hook only works in a client component to fix mark the file or is parent. So as you see, that use path name, use client, you can copy it, or you can write it directly here at the top and just pass that one. That's it, your error will disappear. Now this one, it will work as a client side library, and I can grab each and every single thing in the console because it's just a client side. So now as you see, we have /home. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create another route here, and it's pretty simple. You just need to grab the folder and you can use the route. So the similar route, which is the shop, and I'm gonna make that paste.tsx rafce, which going to be, let's say it will be a shop page, just to remember. So now if I click at the shop, it would be taking my shop page. You see, we are here in the shop page, and also in the route you can see is shop. If I go in the blog, you know, it will be providing us 404 not found. We're gonna create a 404 not found page too. Like so far, if you just write any page and hit, you see it's popping up with a perfect mess, so the user, it will not fall through. And you see, we're hiding the header, and because this is working, this should be working as a global parameter. So that we're gonna do and implement. So first of all, we are not willing to get the 404 page. So what I'm gonna do, let's come back to our header menu, and we know now the path name is working. So now we can make it looks or sound in a better way. So first of all, as you see where it will work, that should be coming up here, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pass a $sign and a second bracket. So now we can inject the JavaScript directly here if the path name is equal to that item.href. Okay, as you see, if we go in the item, the href is a similar, we made it similar so that it can match with the route name. So you need to be very careful once you are typing it or you are rewriting it. It should match with those parameters, otherwise it will fall back. So now instead of that a default criteria, I'm gonna just make a single condition. I'm gonna make and. So whenever it is okay, only then it gonna take effect, otherwise it will be just as it is. So and. Hit save, and as you see, it's got the color, and now it would be the similar for these two pattern. I need to combine it all together. So first of all, as you see here, I just need to make that with pattern. So if the path name and href is similar, which should be 1/2, that's the same thing for it. So now we are having it. If I go in the shop, it's staying. If I go back to the home, it's staying. So I think this is a very good deal. If you see, okay, cool. So now this menu is working perfectly fine, and we are now, as you see, we made that only the header menu is a client side. Still our header is in a good position. We didn't make it as a client yet. So now we are having our header menu, and then we should be having our others parameter, where first we're gonna have our search bar. Okay, and to get the search bar, which in the search bar, it will be a lot of things in the search bar. So it should be a search bar.tsx and rafce. So the search bar, it will be here. Then we're gonna pass directly. First, right now it will be a simple component here, search bar, where we're gonna generate one icon here. So let's say we're gonna just pass in the search bar, we're gonna pass a search icon from Lucid React. And here put a class name which should be, I'm gonna make it a 5 by 5, so it will be a little bit smaller. And then let's say hover. Text should be shop light green, so that would be the text color. And also I'm gonna pass that hover effects. Okay, now as I'm saying it, all of those single scenarios, you see, if I click on that shop like in the search bar, there will be a lot of things, because those call which we are going to make in the product, this will be a live calling, right? So as you see, this is circulating the product from the live parameter. So that's how we're gonna combine it. So it's gonna take a lot of criteria, a lot of things. So I'm gonna make it a side by side later on. So that's the one then we're gonna have our this card icon and the favorite icon, and all of those are gonna be a client-side library. So to grab that one, we can just make that a card icon and a fab icon. So get another file which gonna be card icon.tsx rfce. So that would be my card icon. Then it should be a favorite button.tsx, and that should be my favorite button. So now I'm gonna grab it here in the header. I'm gonna just import it. Should be my card icon and should be my favorite button. So all together it's gonna define. So as you see, it's coming up. So I need to make it in a very good flexible way. So here it's gonna come in for the class name. First of all, which should be auto in the smaller devices, and in MB devices which should be 1 by 3. So it will be like it's gonna divide a third portion of that. So every single here it's gonna be having a perfect width ratio. Should be flex, and item should be center, and then I'm gonna make it a justify end, so it will be always in the right side, and the gap should be, let's say, 5. Now you're gonna see it's gonna pass that ratio directly here. So now let's go in the card menu. Like for the card icon, we're gonna combine it in a very good fashion. First of all, instead of that div, I'm gonna wrap it with the link, right? So link and href should be, it's gonna pass that as to our card scenario. And first of all, I'm gonna make a class name here which gonna be a group, and also it's gonna be a relative, because something going to be in absolute position. As you see, if we hover over here, the change is coming, and this is an absolute position by which it's working. So to implement that one, I think group is not required by so far. We're gonna make a group action here. Yeah, maybe, because on our link we're gonna, this position can be changed. So should be, let's say, shopping bag. So that would be there. And remember the class name which we are providing for the search bar, we're gonna use pretty much this class name for all together. You can also make that class name as an icon class name, and then you can also throw it here. Now we're gonna pass an span tag where we're gonna pass a 0 item. Okay, and as you see, once we did that, the design is just broken, and it's not looks so simple and gorgeous. It looks very bad. So what we're gonna do here, first of all, put a class name. Okay, and then I'm gonna make it an absolute. Okay, absolute, and as we did that, you know, the pace is just taking. So now we're gonna make that as, like, say, we're gonna just make it place it here. Now those place I tested it, so I'm gonna just write it. And for you, if you want to try and like toggle through it, you can do it. So minus right should be 1. So you can see the position should be at the top at that core side, and then we are going to make that BJ should be shop BTN a dark green, and then text should be white color, and height should be 3.5. You can also go with the padding, but I would love to go with the height. I don't know, wait, so 3.5. So that's the ratio you're gonna combine. Rounded should be full, so it will be a full circle altogether. See that, just working. And from there, text should be extra small, and you can make it more smaller if you want. Font should be semi bold, and flex item center not in checked. Item center, okay, no need that one. I need only this. Sometimes this autocomplete is providing you much more things, and it's getting annoying. Justify not okay, flex. Okay, my editor is just getting crumbled, so let it save that one. Okay, it's saved, and as you see, that's the design we made. So I'm gonna just copy this entire thing. Okay, and for our favorite button, it should be the similar pattern of that. So same thing, but there will be some minor changes here. And I think first gonna be, it should be like, instead of that card icon, we should be passing our favorite icon. So we can pass that what the icon we are using pretty much. So here is a heart icon. Okay, should be heart, not header, HART, heart. Okay, and I think you see, okay, that's the icon which you're getting. So now we are perfectly aligned together. We have our favorite, and later on this thing, it should be coming from our state. We're gonna combine it. Now in the header, we should be having some other parameter, and one more thing is that we need to having a sign in button. So we're gonna just call it all together in so many portions. So let's say sign in dot tsx. So that would be holding the sign in parameter. You can make it as a button also if you want. I'm gonna just make it simple as it is. So it should be sign in. Okay, save. Now here, for right now, I'm gonna just popping up a button here, because later on we're gonna feel free to make the other portion, because we're gonna use that Clark authentication later on, and that will combine that, let's say, login. A simple button gonna return a login parameter, gonna have some class name, and to do that, let's say class name, and here we're gonna define it in that way. Text should be SM, and font should be semi-bold, and then whenever we hover, text should be, let's say, dark color, and we're gonna pass that hover effect. Save. So now as you see, this is cool, and once we hover, we can okay, let's okay, first of all, text should be, I think, light color, and hover, we're gonna make that cursor pointer. This, by default, the pointer is not coming. Okay, cool. So now we need to get our smaller menu, which gonna be that one. I'm gonna make it a bit bigger, so I think, yeah, okay, cool. Let's make that one. So this button where it's just coming here, you see that header menu. So now the logo is coming here right now. So instead, in the logo and this criteria, because it will be appearing side by logo, so I'm gonna take a div here, I'm gonna pass the logo, right? Then I'm gonna take another component. Now we're gonna make it as a mobile menu.tsx. Now if you're making it here in this, like if you check a component here, you can do it as fine, it will work. But in that way, the header would be messy, and it will be difficult to combine it and showcase where the actual thing is, because also this mobile menu need to be a client-side library. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just take a separate like a separate thing by which we can just define from the separate component. And again, if you are still holding with me, let me know in the comments if you are feeling good the way I'm explaining, or if you're feeling that I'm talking too much, let me know in the comments. I'll stop talking too much, because sometimes it's annoying. I know it's difficult, and I'm trying my best to explain to you the way you can capture, because from one video I think you can having the ability to make some more design if you understand it better. That's the way, if you learn, it would be perfect for you. So now in the mobile menu, so if you see, there should be an icon. So now the mobile menu is heading right here. So first of all, we need to make it a side by side, put a class name, and the similar thing which going to happen, that MD like auto, and like with auto at the smaller devices, MD with 1/3 of flex item center, and I'm gonna make a gap 3, and also I'm gonna make that item justify should be start, so it would be always start like from the left side, it will always combine here. And instead of gap 5, I'm gonna make it 2.5. Not too much gap should be there, so it would be side by side. And instead of that, logo should be mobile menu should be first, then the logo it will appear, so that should be at the left side. And I think for MD, the gap should be 0, because it will not be there. Like if you don't put that one, like MD gap 0, right? So if I go here in the mobile menu, we want that to be hidden for our small menu, right? So I'm gonna just remove it, and here I'm gonna pass a button, and in the button, let's say it should be an icon, align left, lig and left. Yes. Okay, so that would be a simple button here, and this one I'm gonna make that a class name, and hover should be text color, dark text color, and hover effect, and MD should be hidden. So okay, there is one thing, I can just pass that one in the container, so the text should be light color. Yeah, that's I forgot to pass. So now all the text should be by default light color, and we can just pass that through in a concat way. So hidden, and hover should be cursor pointer. Okay, cool. So now as you see, we are having that. So now what we're gonna do, as you can see, it's not there, it's in the middle, but the gap is there, right? So there's a slight gap which we can actually remove that one by saying in MD gap should be 0. So it will be stick at the side by side. So that's the way we can combine it together. We can just pass that value together, or it's still there. I think it is still there. Okay, MD, the gap. Okay, we are putting it the wrong place. That's why it should not be here, it should be here. So the gap which we are giving here 2.5, that MD screen, the gap should be 0. So even we are doesn't having that icon, you see the gap is filled up. Otherwise 2.5 gap, it will be always there, and it will be killing your head. So now we're having a mobile menu. Once we click on that mobile menu, lots of things gonna appear, and we're gonna do it right now. Now, once we click on that particular matter, we should be having a side menu to be open. So that's the side menu is appearing from the left, and once we just click on the outside, or if we click on that tab, it's just disappearing from there. So now to implement that one, we need to first create a side menu, which should be another component, and then it would be a side menu.tsx or fce. Now we're gonna capture the side menu right here. So should be side menu. That's it. So now the side menu, it will popping up. You see the side menu, it's just lying here, but we will not make it in that way because we need to know once it gonna appear and once it not. So what I'm gonna do here, we need to pass some combination, right? So we need to take an state. So is sidebar open, and set is sidebar open. We no need to use that react because we're gonna directly pass that use state. Okay, input at from the React. Now here is the catch. Whenever we're gonna use that hook, any of the hook, React hook, you cannot use it in a server-side library, server-side component. You need to use that use client flag to make that entire component as a client side. Now if we do that one in the header, you know, if we just call that here in the header, again we need to make that header as a client-side library, which we don't want. So the mobile menu in that part, it should be only those client-side criteria. So first of all, I'm going to make a button here, which is going to be, let's say, on click. Whenever you're going to click on that, we are just going to make a simple function here by which we're going to make that set sidebar, set is sidebar open, and that would be make that true false, true false. Now here also that sidebar menu, and we're going to make it within a div here so that in the MD screen, it would be hidden. So class name MD should be hidden. So in this smaller menu, like even you open that one, so that's the separate component, right? Not related with that like mobile menu. Even you go in that this parameter, it's just taking hidden parameter by default. So that's the way we can hide it. Even we are having a fallback parameter. Anyone wants to recapture our website to see the responsiveness, they will like it for sure. So now once we click that, that button should be appearing. So what we're gonna make that one, first of all, we need to pass that is open criteria here within this parameter. So we will pass the two value altogether. One is that is open parameter, which is going to be a true false value. Then on close function you're gonna pass, and that function gonna be responsible to close that from here and from here. So this is the way we're gonna combine it. And whenever on close we're gonna call, the set sidebar menu should be false. It will be hidden. So let's go in the sidebar menu, and here we first need to recall both of that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna first define the interface, or you can say the type. So interface, and then I'm gonna pass that as a side, let's say sidebar props, And here we're going to define the first one is open. As you remember, in JavaScript there is a first and foremost you have we have like the string, we have number, then we have the boolean value. So it would be a boolean value, and on close it will be a function byte. That's it. And in the sidebar menu we can define it as a props here, but also we can make it in a global way. So we say from the React, and we can call that from the fc, or instead of React you can directly call that fc, like that. Fc need to import from React at the top, the way you like. And then we can pass our sidebar props, and you need to take only a single criteria. That's it. So now if I call that here, let's say is open and also on close, you know, we are getting the pop-up, and you know how it's just having to be done. Now here we need to make some classic work. How we can do that? First of all, we will make that class name, and instead of that we're going to go with the curly braces, we're going to go with the backtick. First of all, I'm going to make it a fix, and inside should be y should be 0, and what is inside y, hover through it, that should be a block calculation, spacing should be 0 into align with that. And now also I'm going to provide the height should be a screen, or you can just go with the min height or the overall height. I'm going to just go with the screen here, and from the left should be 0, z index should be a 50, and width should be full, and bj should be, let's say, black, and I'm going to make a shadow of axle. That's it. So this is the criteria which we are passing. As you see, for that block, instead of direct block, we can get a 50% of the opacity. You see the sidebar menu, it just appearing. If now we need to combine it when we want it to show. First of all, we will go with our $, and then we're gonna go our curly braces. So is open is available. Okay, so if we have the is open, then we're gonna pass something. If we doesn't have the is open, we're gonna pass something. So is open is there, then we're gonna make that a translate. So translate, let's say translate x should be 0, so it should be at the top hit. And if it's not available, I'm gonna make that minus I think translate x should be full. Okay, that's it. And after that also we can combine some additional class name, which is going to be, I'm going to make that as a hover effect. That's it. So let's just reload it. So first of all, it's not there. If we click, you see it just appearing. So okay, it's really cool the way it's just coming in the scenario, and the way it's doing its job. Fully compact. I love it. Now we have our side menu bar, right? Now in the side menu we should have two criteria, like two certain kind of setup. So first of all, we should have a single div, and then we should have two separate div. So one and then another. Okay, so first div gonna combine our logo. So logo, and here I'm gonna put a class name. The text should be, let's say, white. Okay, you can see if we blink, okay, we are just passing it. And also we can combine that one. You see this one getting dark, we can also pass some class name to make it looks better. We'll do it. So we are having a logo here, and now this one we will make it looks much nicer and better. So the mean width should be, let's say mean width should be here is 72, and then I'm gonna pass a max width. So even after the minimum, the maximum, it will cannot go more than 96. And then bj should be fully black, and then width should be, I'm gonna make a z index 50 right there. So height should be screen, and then text should be, let's say, we're gonna make a foreground text, or we can just make the minimum text the way it's appearing. That's it. And after that we will be compiling. Padding should be 10, and then I'm gonna make a border R, and then border R should be shop dark green. So gonna be a strategic border, or you can just make that one, instead of border R shop R green, we can make that one light green, so we can see the sidebar. There is a border right here appearing. And also we can make that everything as a flex column should be there, and gap should be in between a 6, and 6 is according to the Tailwind. It's a 6, so if coming is 1.5 RAM is around 24 pixels. So one is the 4 pixel combination is right there. So now we have a logo, and after the logo also we can having a button here, and that button gonna combine only an icon, which going to be X from the low side React. and let's just bring it here. The C is right here, and instead of, as we make that BJ black, I'm gonna make it text white, so that could be a good combination. Otherwise, also if you want to make the opacity, you can make an 80% opacity. That's cool. The way you feel better, it will be appearing like that. And also for the class name, here I'm gonna say that whenever we hover, text should be a shop as the black color, shop light green, it will be perfect. And I'm gonna pass the hover effect, and also on the button, on click should be taking that on close event. That's it. Hit save. And also for this div initialization, we're gonna put a class name flex item center, not in checked, item center, and then I'm gonna make it justify between. Initially I'm gonna put a gap of 5. Even it's scrambling together, it will not be lower than 5, you see. Okay, this button parameter, for the button, we can just go in our globals.css. We can just pass that for any of the button. Let's say gonna apply that at apply hover cursor pointer. You know, we can just initialize that one. So any of the button, it will take by default instead of writing it every time. If I now click here, disappearing, click, disappearing. Good. So we're having it now. Also this one, we can fix that, the other side, and how we can do that. So you see the logo, we are having the logo. So if we hover, it's a white, so that should be a white color. So I'm gonna pass that, let's say span design, just passing a class name with that. So here we're gonna pass that, let's say once we hover, text should be white. Okay, so I'm gonna take that span design. You can put any of the name. I'm just grabbing it right now, so it just, you know, not in a aligned way. So I'm gonna make that, if it's there, I'm gonna pass it as a string value. So now we need to implement that one right here. So I'm gonna cut all together, and then I'm gonna make that our CN flag, and here first it gonna appearing the one which you're having, and after that it's gonna combine the class name which we are going to pass. Okay, so that is happening. Group hover, not here, group hover, only then it gonna work. Ah, no, it's not taking at all. So group hover, it should be okay, span design, we are in the logo. So then group hover, first we are making that shop text is the shop light green. Are we missing something? Group hover, text going to be white. I'm gonna make that again, group hover, text white. No, it's not taking that. Okay. We put the wrong one, not the class name but the shop design, you see. Okay, now cool. At least now you can toggle through some more scenario here. That's up to you, but I think for me that's enough. Now what we need to do, we need to also like bring back to our header data, remember. So let's go in the sidebar menu. So after that logo, so initially after passing that button here, so after that div, I can combine and take another div. Yeah, so I think this is the one we can work it through. So here we're gonna pass that header data dot map, so everything as an item the way we did before, and we're gonna wrap it through. And on the wrapper, we're gonna pass that as a link parameter, and it to coming from the next link. And here we're gonna pass that everything as an item dot title. And here we're gonna pass that href, which should be href item dot link. Key should be item dot, okay, not link but the href. Save. So you see the data is just empowering here. Put a class name, make it a flex column, and the space y sp ace space y should be, let's say I'm gonna provide the 3.5 gap here, See the side by side, and font should be semi bold, and tracking should be wide, and also text the way it's here. I think that's fine. That's it. And now for the link parameter, we're gonna also put some class name here. Let's say hover. The text should be shop light green. I think that is looks good, and we're gonna pass that hover effect. Okay, so now once we hover, as you see, now whenever we are having that initial pattern, so like if we can also pass the path name criteria, remember, so that in the path name we can know how the things can be done. So the path name should be coming up from the use path name, and we can just simply go with the class name clarification. We, instead of that one, we will go with the backtick parameter. So backtick, and then we're gonna pass that if the way we did before, if we are having that our path name is equal to item.href, instead of that one we want a single criteria. Okay, should be a single criteria, and gonna come with that, and that's it. So now it's gonna mark, or you can make that instead of text white, you can make that text, you can make it directly fully white, and you can also reduce the opacity from there. As you see, we are making as a text white, you can make it as a 70. That's up to you the way you combine. Okay, so now there is the one thing, and now one of the last parameter going to be here as the this portion here. Remember our social icon, so we need to combine and create that, the social media parameter. Now this one we're gonna create a simple and separate combination here, because remember at the bottom, if we just call that bottom, you see that the same combination, the same parameter we are using there too. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a separate component which will be our social media.tsx rfce. I'm trying to capture that as much as possible to make it the relative name parameter. So that's up to you. You can also find some good shortening way how you can capture that. So it will be, and whatever practicing I'm holding it, it's not always the best practice, right? So if you are combining some of the best practices which can be followed through, let me know in the comments which you feel better, the way how it can be much good and efficient. You're always welcome to do that things. So now in the social media, we should be generating some of that. Now, first of all, I'm going to grab a link here. So that I'm going to use it in that same similar, as you see that we can also write it in the same component. So now first I'm going to provide that YouTube button, not icon. So the GitHub icon, and also need to be imported the LinkedIn icon, and then Facebook. And after that, it should be Slack. So what we are doing here, first of all, we are defining a social link here, which is going to having a title, and then the href, then the icon. And why we're using the title, you see the hovering, you see the YouTube is appearing. So we're going to combine that our tooltip to showcase where actually things is going to combine. So this is a link, and we are providing href. Right now I'm just adding my YouTube link. You can add your own link, and by the way, do subscribe and like this video to let it spread it, you know. So now we are having all of the same scenario. Now what you need to do, you just need to like change the icon, provide your link, that's it, it will work perfectly. So to do that, we're gonna just go in a combination here by which we can define it in a better way. So I'm gonna go, and first of all I'm gonna map through it. And before mapping through, we need to go with our tooltip provider, because the entire thing is gonna pass a tooltip combination. So tooltip provider, and don't import from the first one at Redis, it's gonna be misspelled. So you just always need to go with the UI which we importing from Shadcn. You can also check it, just click it, you see that's the one we need to import. So never import the like the Redis UI there, and it will be a very much error prone, and you're gonna be like it will provide you a very good hard time here. So first of all, let's say social link dot, I always love to make that null check. It's up to you if you want to make, okay, otherwise also it will work fine. So everything I'm going to capture as an item, and then I'm going to wrap it with the tooltip. So the tooltip here, let's say tooltip, import it, and within the tooltip I'm going to pass that, okay, I think I made some mistake. So tooltip, and then we need to pass the tooltip trigger and tooltip trigger. And after the tooltip trigger, within the tooltip trigger, we can just simply pass that our link parameter need to be imported from next link. Here we're gonna pass that first criteria should be our item.icon. Okay, and also for the key, the title or href. So for the key, I'm gonna pass that item.title. So all the title gonna be different, so it gonna just combine it. And for the href should be item.href. That's it. Hit save and let's see if it's combining or generating the things or not. If we click here, you see the icon is popping up. So now we're gonna go first in a very good fashion, put a class name here, and first of all, what kind of parameter it gonna hold, right? So what kind of things gonna coming up? So here we're gonna take 3 or 4 some of the separate props, which gonna be class name, string, icon class name, tooltip class name. I'm gonna just pass that at the top here. And also here we can just get it each and everything, whatever the class name. So first it's gonna be individual class name, then we're gonna pass the icon class name if you want, then we gonna have also tooltip class name, and everything gonna be coming up from the props. So this is the way we can combine it. So now gonna pass the class name. First of all, the first class name, which going to be, remember, instead of this one, we need to go our second bracket. We're gonna use the cn parameter, and here we're gonna pass the default value, which gonna be flex. Item should be center, and then I'm gonna put a gap of 3.5, and that's it. Text, the default text by which we are preferring, let it be. And then we're gonna also pass our class name criteria. If we want to pass any class name, it will take in place. So now we are having the social link, right? So what we're gonna do, this link that would gonna be affected. So put a class name here, and after the class name, we're gonna also use that cn here. So it should be cn, and then it gonna pass that padding should be 2. I'm gonna pass a border. Okay, that it will not take that much hit, so you can just pass that href if you want, because this link here sometimes is not grabbing the attention of that parameter. So it's better to combine and compress here to pressing that one. So that should be an href, and whenever you're gonna passing that, I want also you should be implemented these 2 parameter should be target blank, no opener, no referrer. That's it. So the padding, we're gonna pass it a padding, and the border, and also making them rounded should be full. Oh, what's wrong here? What you did? We are passing. Okay. One more thing is that we need to make everything as a child, so it can grab through. Okay, because otherwise it can't capture what is happening in between. Now if we use the link, I think maybe it could be using right now. Oh, okay, should be properly aligned. Yeah, I think it's because of that it cannot find a child, that's why it was not figuring out, but now we can use that. So once we hover, text should be, let's say, fully white, and also hover, border should be, let's say, shop border should be, I think, shop light green. That would be perfect. And we're gonna pass that hover effect, and after that we can pass that icon class name. So whenever we want to pass that class name, it will take an action. And you see, okay, cool, nice. But here in our production, you see the error is there, some because the dark is not looking good, but you know, we are trying to implement as the way it can be affected, you know, making the measurement in a good way. If I click in the slag, it will always take me to my link, and it will open in the next layer. So that's up to you. Please subscribe. So now we're having the link, but when we hover, nothing is popping up. But here, as you see, we are having that Facebook. So how we can combine that? So before, the tooltip trigger is done, after the tooltip trigger, we need to pass another, should be tooltip content. Okay, so that should be holding that, and here we're gonna pass that item dot title. So if I go here, as you see, if I hover, okay, taking an action, but I want the background should be white. That would be nicer. So put a class name here. We're gonna just handle it in a flow way. We're gonna just remove the default one, So first of all, BJ should be white for all of that, and text should be dark color by default, and font should be semi bold. And then also, if we are having any tooltip class combination, it will provide. You see, Facebook, LinkedIn, GitHub. Okay, so the design is a very good and very good compact way is dealing with that. So now this looks nice. Also, you can want a border. Like say if I want a border should be let's say, you can do it. You see that there is a border, but you can make it red so that it can be appearing. I don't want border. So now this is one way. There is one more simple parameter is still balancing, which by which we can, like when we click in the outside, you see outside is disappearing, but here it's not. So we need to make that things done. And how we can do that? We need to be compiling we need to create a ref for that. So we can take that const, we will make that sidebar reference, and that sidebar reference should be coming from use outside click. And here it should be HTML div element, and on the div element we're gonna pass simply that a function which going to be, let's say, onClose function. Now we are not having it. Okay, so we need to create that one. And how we can create it by simple far is that we will create a hook. So here I'm going to close everything, and the global layer I'm going to create a directory which is the hook, and here I'm going to make that. You can go with the index.ts, you can go with the hook parameter, that's up to you. I'm going to just go with index.ts. So first of all, I'm going to just make a function here. So export, I'm going to make the function like a functionable call away. So because we made it in other parameters, sometimes we can combine with that. So I'm going to make a T which gonna extends for HTML elements. So HTML elements. And after that I'm gonna close that one, and this one, okay, not require. And here it should be passing that, let's say it should be passing in a callback. So callback, in the callback it should be passing a void function which we are gonna passing. Remember, we're gonna pass that onClose function, then we're gonna define it. So that's the function it's gonna return here. We just need to import our handle click. Okay, it's just replicated that, getting from the hooks. So now we're having that hooks here, but it's still not working. We need to make it to work. And how we can do that? Let's go our hooks. Here we're gonna define how those things can work. So first of all, we need to pass the reference. That reference should be used that use reference. Need to import from the React, and then it's gonna take the T which gonna be extend for null by default. Then we're gonna pass that use effect data ratio, and here we're gonna define how those things can combine. And in the dependency we're gonna pass that the callback should be as a dependency. So whatever we're gonna function pass, whenever it change, it will take in action. So now we're gonna make a simple function, handle click outside, handle ck clicked outside. Okay, I don't want that autocomplete to be done. And here we can just simply make an arrow function. E should be, let's say it gonna be we're gonna take an E which gonna be taken mouse even function. And from here we're gonna make a scenario if ref dot current, so the reference is there, and if now try to picture what is gonna happen. It's very simple. So whenever we're gonna click on that, it will not close until we click it here, right? But if, as you see the black color, if we click outside of the black color, it should work. So what we're gonna do, you see that's the div is responsible to generating all of this. If I just comment that, everything disappear. So even I click, you see nothing is here. So we need to combine that. So we need to pass a reference here so that it will know that this is the div which we're clicking. So this entire thing is outside of the div. So we need to let it know how that to configure. So that's what we are doing here. If the ref.current dot contains, and that should be, let's say, e.target, and that should be coming as a node value. And then we need to combine it. So what we are doing, if the ref.current and the ref.current contains e.target, so if it's in the target, so we're gonna target on that. If it's not there, we're gonna close. If it's there, it will be simple as that. So then we're gonna pass that as a callback, so the function which we are tracking. So if the ref.current and ref.current, so if it's not contain that target, so whatever is there, if it's not contain that ref, then the callback gonna effect. So means whatever the function you're gonna dealing with, that gonna handle the scenario. I know it's pretty much difficult to understand in a single shot, but you know, you need to give it a try. Just write that function, go through several times, that will be fine. And still, if you don't know how to combining that or facing difficulty to understand, let me know in the comments. I'll jump it through. So let's say it should be a document dot, I'm gonna add the event listener, and in the event listener there should be a mouse down which should be passing that handle click outside, and we need to also return that callback, otherwise it will independently it will differentiate like calling it all together. And also we need to remove event listener which should be handle click outside after passing that initial value. And what I'm gonna do, everything I'm gonna return it here. So return the reference which we create, we're gonna return it here. So now from there we are getting our sidebar ref, and that's the ref is which the ref which we are getting name as ref. It's really much more like confusing. So we are having the ref, right? Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go this div here, we're gonna pass the reference. So the reference should be sidebar ref. So now we know which reference is gonna work. As you see, if we click, boom, click, we are not in the production, we are in the our local server. Make it reload. If you're having any issue, then click, gone, click, gone. So now we did the responsive header, responsive scenario. So I think it's a pretty much good deal to build in that. So if you know how to build that, you always go with a very good responsive way. You see, that's super sleek and super cool. Okay, so now we did that. I think now we can move on to go with the login criteria.